They laughed at her clothes. Not quietly, not politely. They laughed out loud. At the faded dress, at the worn-out shoes, at the way she stood near the wall, clutching her bag like it might disappear if she let go. No one bothered to ask her name, because in their minds, they'd already decided who she was and who she wasn't. But when she stepped onto the stage, the room would never sound the same again. The auditorium buzzed with noise. Students filled the rows, laughing, whispering, scrolling through their phones. Bright outfits, designer shoes, confidence stitched into every step. This was the annual talent showcase, the biggest event of the semester, where reputations were built and sometimes destroyed. Near the back of the hall stood a girl no one noticed at first. Her name was Amara, 19 years old, quiet, slim, wearing a simple blue dress that had clearly lived another life before today. The fabric was faded at the elbows. The hem had been stitched twice. Her shoes were clean, but old. Not ugly, just honest. She adjusted the strap of her bag and scanned the room, searching for an empty seat. That's when the laughter started. "Did she get lost on her way to church?" One girl whispered, loud enough for others to hear. Another snorted. "Nah, that's someone's auntie." A boy leaned toward his friend. "Talent show or charity case?" They laughed again. Amara heard every word. She always did. Her fingers tightened around the strap. Her face stayed neutral. Not because it didn't hurt, but because she'd learned long ago that reacting only fed them. She slid into an empty seat near the aisle, alone. What they didn't know was that Amara owned only 3 dresses, and she'd chosen the best one. They didn't know her mother worked night shifts at a hospital cafeteria, or that her father had died when she was 13. They didn't know Amara practiced her talent every night after midnight, when the house was quiet and the world stopped asking her to be something else. They didn't know she'd almost backed out of signing up, almost convinced herself she didn't belong on that stage. But something inside her, small, stubborn, unbreakable, had whispered, "Just try." Names were projected on a large screen at the front. Singers, dancers, comedians, spoken word artists, each name followed by applause or polite claps. Then the MC announced, "Next up, Amara Okoye." A pause. Confused murmurs. "Who?" someone asked. "That's her," a girl said, pointing lazily toward the back. "The one in that dress." Snickers spread like wildfire. Amara stood. The moment she did, laughter grew louder. She walked toward the stage slowly, steadily. Each step felt heavy. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Her palms were damp. She climbed the steps, stood at the center. The spotlight hit her, and for a brief second, she wanted to run. The room was restless. Phones were out. Someone yawned dramatically. The judges glanced at each other. One leaned forward. "So, what will you be performing?" Amara swallowed. "My own piece," she said softly. "Music and spoken word." A judge raised an eyebrow. Oh, that single word carried doubt, expectation, dismissal. Amara nodded. She didn't explain, didn't defend herself. She adjusted the microphone, closed her eyes, and breathed. If you're still watching, like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, cause this is where everything changes. Because what happens next is the exact moment the laughter dies. Stay with me. Amara lifted her hands to the keyboard beside her. The first note rang out. Soft, clear, precise. The room quieted, not intentionally, but instinctively. She began to play. A melody that didn't rush, didn't beg, didn't perform. It remembered. Then she sang. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't scream for attention. It carried pain and hope, and years of unspoken words wrapped in melody. They say I don't look like dreams. But dreams don't wear costumes. A phone dropped. Someone in the back sat up straight. The laughter stopped, mid-breath. They measure worth in fabric and shine, but never ask how a soul survives. Her voice cracked, not from weakness, but from truth. Something changed in the room. The air thickened. Eyes lifted. Whispers died. A girl who had laughed earlier felt her throat tighten. A boy who'd joked leaned forward unconsciously. One of the judges stopped taking notes. Amara's fingers moved effortlessly. Her voice rose, not louder and stronger. I stitched my hope into every seam, wore my courage where you couldn't see. Tears welled in the front row. Not because the song was sad, but because it was honest. Amara opened her eyes, and for the first time, she looked directly at the audience. Not apologetic, not scared, present. So laugh if you must at what I wear, but listen close, I'm already there. This stage was built for hearts like mine, not borrowed clothes or borrowed shine. The last note lingered, longer than silence, for 2 full seconds. No one clapped. Not because they didn't want to, because they didn't know how to breathe again. Then one person stood, then another. Then the entire auditorium rose. Applause crashed like thunder. Not polite, not forced, earned. The same people who laughed now wiped their eyes. A judge stood. What you just did, he said, voice unsteady, was unforgettable. Another judge added, you didn't just perform. You told a truth. Amara stepped back from the microphone. Her hands shook, but this time from release. Backstage, the noise felt distant. A girl approached her. The same one who'd whispered earlier. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I was wrong. Amara smiled gently. Thank you. Nothing more. Nothing less. Because she didn't need revenge. She already had respect. They learned that day. That talent doesn't always arrive wrapped in confidence. That brilliance doesn't wear labels. That some people carry greatness quietly until the world finally listens. They laughed at her clothes until she took the stage. And when she did, they never laughed again.